He was the kind of man people remembered, polite, articulate, a little too composed. To most, Leonard Hale was the model of restraint. He spoke softly, dressed neatly, and carried himself like a man who had nothing to hide. But behind that easy charm was a mind that could bend truth like metal. In 1998, Hale appeared in Seattle, presenting himself as a freelance financial consultant. He lived in modest apartments, drove second-hand cars, and befriended people who barely noticed how quickly they began to trust him. Within a year, he was handling investments for at least 6 clients, none of whom would live to see the decade turn. The first was a retired nurse, Patricia Long. She met Hale at a local cafe, where he overheard her discussing her pension with a friend. He offered to help her manage it. When she went missing 2 months later, no one connected it to him. The police ruled it an unsolved disappearance. Her bank accounts had been quietly drained. Then came the couple in Portland, the bookstore owner in Eugene, and the teacher in Spokane. Each vanished without visible struggle. Each had signed financial papers bearing Hale's forged signature. What made Hale different from other predators was not how he killed, but how he lingered. He returned to the scenes, not in panic, but with fascination. Weeks after Patricia's body was found, he was spotted at the crime scene vigil, standing among the mourners, quietly lighting a candle. When police canvassed the area, he introduced himself as a journalist researching unsolved cases. Investigators would later realize this was a pattern. Hale kept notebooks filled with clippings, photographs, and handwritten reflections on each victim, notes about their routines, their fears, and what they had last said to him. One entry read, "The beauty of a lie is how it looks like comfort." The task force that eventually formed around his case described it as one of the most psychologically complex investigations they had encountered. He left traces, receipts, aliases, fabricated degrees, but nothing concrete enough to hold him. He was meticulous and unnervingly calm. Detective Marie Sanders, who led the multi-state pursuit, described her first encounter with him as talking to a mirror that lied back. He offered her coffee during an interrogation, smiled when she presented evidence, and once remarked, "You seem to think the truth is something you can catch." For 3 years, Hale stayed ahead of the law. He changed identities, cities, and accents with fluid ease. Each time authorities closed in, he abandoned another name, another version of himself. The break came not through forensics, but through obsession. Hale's need to watch his story unfold drew him back into view. He sent anonymous tips to a Seattle newspaper about the very investigation chasing him. In one email, he wrote, "Some killers don't run. They circle." When he was finally arrested in 2003, he was living under the alias Dr. Charles Green, posing as a clinical psychologist in Denver. In his office, police found framed degrees from universities that didn't exist, patient files written in his own hand, and an unfinished manuscript titled The Study of Truth, a memoir by someone who understands it better than most. In court, Hale represented himself. His arguments were coherent, almost persuasive. He spoke of morality as a shared hallucination and claimed his victims wanted to be known completely, even at the cost of their lives. The jury deliberated for less than 5 hours. He was sentenced to life without parole. To this day, no one knows exactly how many lives he took. Investigators estimate between 10 and 15. But perhaps what disturbed them most wasn't the number. It was his composure. In an interview from prison, Hale said quietly, "People call me a liar, but lies are only stories told too early." Even behind bars, he remains an enigma, an emblem of how charm can cloak darkness, and how truth, when twisted by intellect and calm intent, can become its most dangerous disguise.